Melissa, Justice Alito writes in this draft that his justification for overturning Roe and Casey is that, quote, the Constitution makes no reference to abortion and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision, including the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. He goes on to say that provision has been held to guarantee some rights that are not mentioned in the Constitution, but any such right must be deeply rooted in this nation's history and tradition. Melissa, just putting aside the fact that there are things in our history and tradition that we've gotten rid of, like slavery, there are other rights that we have today that, as you mentioned earlier, could really be under threat right now when you take this argument to its next step, its logical conclusion, the right to interracial marriage, same-sex marriage, contraception. How quickly do you think Ken Paxton in Texas, the Attorney General there, or in other states like Florida, will be off immediately challenging those things now once this opinion becomes final, if it becomes final?
Well, I think they were already telegraphing that there was a landscape beyond Roe that they were eager to begin tilling. So I don't think it will take a long time. Like, how long it will take to actually bear fruit is a different story. But the idea that Justice Alito floats in this opinion that somehow you can unravel the right to abortion and these other kinds of protections are left secure is pure gaslighting, and he knows it. He knows that the right to privacy that undergirds the right to abortion also undergirds the right to marriage, the right to interracial marriage, same-sex marriage, the right of individuals to select and have sexual relations with a person of their choice, the right of parents to raise their children in the manner of their choosing, the right to contraception. All of these are undergirded by a due process protection for this kind of individual liberty, sometimes discussed as privacy. And so the idea that you can pull this thread and all that you do is dismantle Roe is absolutely delusional, and he knows it. And we've already seen conservative litigators making this point over and over again. In one of the amicus briefs in this case, Dobbs, Adam Mortara, and Jonathan Mitchell. Jonathan Mitchell is the architect of Texas SB 8, that novel law that has basically hobbled abortion access in the second largest state in the union. They basically said that the court should not stop with Roe and Casey, but instead should go further to interrogate Obergefell and Lawrence and all of these other decisions. So it's on the table. It's happening.
And Megyn, we're talking about an institution whose building, is engraved with the words equal justice under the law. But then you have a man elected president who lost the popular vote by almost 3 million people, got to put 3 lifetime appointees on the Supreme Court bench, not to mention George W. Bush, also lost the popular vote in 2000. Then, to be fair, won in 2004 and appointed 2 more justices before Trump did. These are justices from unpopularly elected presidents, now dismantling the rights of more than half the nation's population, going against public opinion. There's a lot of talk of this leak undermining the integrity of the court, and we'll come back to the leak in a moment. But the idea that this court's integrity is not already under question is absurd, is it not?
It's absolutely absurd. Recent polling shows this is the most unpopular court in modern history. And the reason that they're unpopular is because they do unpopular things. You're right that they were installed by unpopular presidents because they want to do things that are unpopular. There's also a reason why Congress isn't the one leading this effort to overturn Roe v. Wade. They want the courts to do it so they can have a little bit of distance between them and this bad thing that's about to happen, which, by the way, is very popular. Abortion is very popular. So that's what really this is about. I think this is very much linked to democracy, too. Like, 2 sides of the same coin. First, they erode your ability to participate in democracy, which is what they did when they gutted the Voting Rights Act. And then they start doing unpopular things after they've eliminated your ability to get political redress. And that's where we are right now. It shouldn't be difficult to protect Roe, either at the state or federal level, given how popular it is. But Republicans have a structural advantage in both the way the Senate was designed, and they've had help from the court itself to block real political change from happening once they do this awful, awful thing. And they are going to. That's what this decision says to us. Not only are they going to overturn Roe v. Wade, but they are coming for every other right that isn't written down, as long as the right that isn't written down isn't about either guns or corporate power. Those things are not written down, and those things are fine. Those things are safe.
There was a tweet earlier today from Ben Rhodes, Obama's former deputy national security advisor, where he talked about how anyone under the age of 50 who came of age with Bush v. Gore has never seen the Supreme Court as apolitical. This is a court that in 2000, 22 years ago, before John Roberts even joined it, was handing the presidency to an unelected president, to a person who lost the popular vote. Anyways, let's talk about the leak. Melissa, everyone's speculating about who leaked this out. Justice Roberts says an investigation is going to take place. Some say it might be a progressive clerk. Legal scholar Rick Hasson has pushed back on that. He's saying, well, actually, the leak may benefit the majority that's overturning Roe. It's softening the blow for what's to come by deflecting all of our commentary and energy towards the fact that there was a leak rather than the substance of what's happening. Republicans did use pretty underhanded methods to hijack 2 Supreme Court seats and now overturn a 50-year ruling, if this opinion's correct. What do you think about this whole leak? I mean, I know it's unprecedented, but where do you think it came from?
So, first of all, I think the idea that the Chief Justice is going to do some kind of investigation and get to the bottom of this is really like the British royal family saying they're going to do an investigation to see if they're racist. Like, this is going to turn up nothing. The broader question, though, of the leak, I really do think is a key issue, and it tells us, I think, a lot about deliberations at the court about this case. So there are lots of theories about who the leakers could be. Last night, conservative media was all agog. It was Sonia Sotomayor. It was the liberals. I don't think it was the liberals because they have no reason to release this in April. If they were going to release it, why not release it in February when they first got it? Or alternatively, wait until the end of term when it's closer to the midterm elections if the purpose is to galvanize popular opinion. And I don't think it's someone like the Chief Justice who would really have preferred a compromise on this where they upheld the Mississippi law but stopped short of overruling Roe versus Wade. He's not the one who's going to do this, not when he's issuing a memo like this. So that really leaves the conservatives. And one particular theory that I think is actually quite good here is that this opinion was so sweeping that it probably struck at least one of the conservative justices as a bridge too far. And maybe that conservative justice, perhaps at Kavanaugh, was trying to join and defect to the Chief Justice's compromise position. And that would have given the Chief Justice and the liberals a 5th vote to do something more moderate. And this was perhaps a shot across the bow to cow this recalcitrant justice to submission, get him on the hard line to make this conservative fantasy come true.
Which is what happened, we now know retrospectively, I was reading just this morning, the Casey decision back in the early 90s, which reaffirmed Roe. Anthony Kennedy was originally part of the majority that was going to get rid of Roe and then switched over. And we know this happened in the Obamacare case with John Roberts, of course. So you're right, there is a history of people switching in these conversations. That's why we keep saying to our viewers tonight, this is not the final opinion. This is something that was valid in February. Things can change. But as you say, maybe they won't change now because it's been hardened on conservative media and public opinion. If a Kavanaugh wanted to defect, it would make it harder for him. It's a very interesting point. One last question to you. Sorry, go on.
It makes it a lot harder. It's basically you sleep with the squishes if you do this.
Yes. It's not like Republicans are reluctant to use the traitor word about people in their midst. We know that. Megyn, last quick question to you. Everyone's talking about Samuel Alito. I feel like Clarence Thomas is thinking, yes, no one's talking about me and Ginny anymore.
Yeah, this is the best thing that's happened to Clarence Thomas on multiple levels in years. One, because there's probably no one more than Clarence Thomas who has just been waiting his entire professional life to be a part of the end of Roe v. Wade. So he's really excited on that front. On a personal front, I'm sure he's delighted that the attention has shifted away from his own ethical shortcomings and onto Alito's very cruel draft opinion in this case. So probably a great day for Clarence Thomas. And I hate it when Clarence Thomas has great days.